NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act, that Obama has called for and signed stipulates that even American citizens can now be targeted by the military, picked up,
We're gonna
and
take your
imprisoned.
AR-15. Jet.
Hey, Joe. Be at the club tonight?
Yeah.
4, Jed.
You give him up, or you give us half your stash. You willing to dump your silver in the dirt? For Seth? Nick, why the fuck French?
I'm going to France.
You should go to China.
I'm going to France.
I'm from the future. You should go to China.
I'm going to France.
Go.
Sir, I formally convey my presence.
We are not used to physical contact greetings.
Charms.
See, their morals, their code, it's a bad joke. Dropped at the first sign of trouble. They're only as good as the world allows them to be. I'll show you. When the chips are down, these civilized people, they'll eat each other. See, their morals, their code, it's a bad joke. Dropped at the first sign of trouble. They're only as good as the world allows them to be. I'll show you. When the chips are down, these civilized people, they'll eat each other.
Baby?
Hey, what's going on? So as you guys can see where I'm getting at with this, I'm going to keep talking about China for a little bit here. I spoke about this in my past 2 videos. The pastor from the prior video was talking about how he had dreams of China and Russia within the United States, with the UN and the Russian troops were telling the Chinese troops who to go round up. Now, clearly, this is a takedown of the United States. Let's not be mistaken in what's going on right now. Everything has been done strategically, which is why you've seen the United States throughout the years send all their jobs and businesses overseas to China, so they can build up their manufacturer and their economy over there, and made them strong, and had America depending on them, kind of like how we depend on our government to take care of us, when it's supposed to be the other way around. So this stuff has been done for years. It's all been done by design strategically, as we can see. But I'm going to take it back to where Trump was at the border, putting the troops and our soldiers and military at the border when he's putting up the wall a couple of years back, and the Democrats were giving him a hard time because he was trying to shut down the border from the caravans. But clearly in those caravans they had Chinese troops, which is why they probably had the military down there. They spoke about this in my Red Dawn video, if you ever made it to the end, where we're talking about how there was a lot of Chinese buildup of people at the Mexican border. Now I'm guessing that's why Trump had all those troops down there keeping watch, making sure they weren't getting in, because clearly the Democratic Party is getting paid by the Chinese communist regime to get these things implemented throughout the nation. Actually, Trump kind of recently just took back one of our largest ports in California from China. And in that last video, they also spoke about how they had owned a lot of hotels throughout this country. Every state, about 100 miles, there was a hotel that they own. And clearly they owned our meat manufacturers in this country too as well. So they were saying like this is how they were feeding their people that are already in here. But I'm going to jump the gun for a second. One of my subscribers from Conspiracy Network sent me a message, and this is his exact words. His name is Matt Kiss My Ass Socialist. It says here, and I quote, he said, here's a conspiracy theory that many don't talk about. Chinese restaurants, every town, every city across the country has one or several, right? We can all agree that there's Chinese restaurants everywhere in this country. He said, think about this. How many have you seen throughout the years that have a little to zero businesses, or a little to zero business? And I can agree to that. I've been in Chinese restaurants, and some of them don't have nobody sitting down up in there. They're just open, and that's that. Although you do get customers coming in and out, don't get me wrong. And he goes, and if those actually do not patronize them, they're rude and obtuse. They don't care about making money because they're CCP trained. I don't know what that means, but this is his comment. He said they're CCP trained and funded sleeper cells, each one having a certain list of primary and secondary targets within their area. This was brought to my attention a couple of decades ago by a military intel officer friend on a fishing trip. It blew his mind away, he says. Also looking Canadian air cadets, mostly kids of first-gen Chinese immigrants. They will be the pilots of the military aircraft very soon. So what he's saying right here is that these Chinese restaurants have sleeper cells in them, and they have trained military oppositions within these restaurants that have targets throughout their community, 1 or 2 targets throughout the community. I can see that actually happening within this nation, if you can see the Chinese build up and stuff like that along those lines. Now, when it comes to China, and you see Hollywood, how it always has China as the savior. You always see their logos at the beginning of the movies and stuff. A lot of people out there don't realize this, but China owns a lot of Hollywood studios out there. They've been buying up everything in this country, land, businesses, everything. They have their hand in everything in this country. And clearly Trump is trying to take it back. Now, I'm 50-50 when it comes to Trump, so I'm for him and then I'm not for him, because I don't really trust the politician, because they all have been corrupt in my opinion. They always do promises and then they don't fulfill the promises. Trump's been fulfilling a lot of his promises. That's why I went in with that 50%. As far as the Democrats go, I don't support these guys at all. But back to the Hollywood concept, China runs them. It's like when you've seen in the movie Looper. If you pay attention to the movie, America is pretty much decaying. It's not the same flourishing, nice cities and stuff along those lines. Looks like it went through hard times, and this is where they are now. It's like graffiti everywhere. The streets and everything looks like crap. But they had the Chinese renminbi money. They're using Chinese money for currency within the nation. So clearly the United States dollar has already fallen. Silver and gold is currency, and China is the new thing, I guess. That's what they're trying to personify in the movie. All right, now clearly the United States people, we're all in debt to China, right? So imagine if China takes over this nation, and all the debtors that owe China money, because that's us, the student loaners, the people who take out loans and stuff like that, and our country government and our banks borrow from China. China, if they take over, they're probably gonna want to get the American people, put them in these camps, put them in these labor camps, and have them work off that debt indefinitely. And they're obviously gonna have dissidents, people in those camps, and those camps are all over the place. These outlet malls, their camps, that was my very first conspiracy video talking about how all the outlet outlet malls are camps. We have the FEMA camps, we got the Walmart camps. They're all over the place. If you look around your town, you can see all guard towers everywhere to program your mind to seeing that structure. So when they actually put a camp up in front of you, you wouldn't even realize that was a camp there standing. So if you're in debt or whatnot there, you might want to buy silver and gold, because obviously it's going to be hard to pay back your debt in cash, because it's going to be hard to get cash. But now you can buy silver and gold kind of at a cheap price right now. Silver's very low. It's actually depreciated very, very low. You can get yourself gold if you can, but then if the currency and the cash systems do fail, obviously silver and gold is going to skyrocket, which is why people are starting to buy silver and gold now. A lot of people wasn't buying this stuff before because they know something's going down and everybody's trying to protect their six for the storm that's coming. So if you can't pay your debts off with cash, you can probably pay it off with silver and gold. So I would advise you to probably jump up on that, and that way you can cover your six when it comes to that, and that way you can have a head start for whatever crisis is coming. You can better protect your family's well-being in the long run when you got gold and silver, food, and all the supplies you're going to need to see yourself through the storm. Now let me see what else I have here in my notes. Now, if there is a war coming and stuff along those lines, there's things that we have to look out for. Because I've heard rumors of this about 5 years back that they were going to do the draft here in the United States. And you already know they have these supercomputers. They have your cell phones, they have your tablets, your computers at home. Everything is wired and monitored and stuff. And I was hearing that they can actually get all the people who are dissidents out of the country in the draft. And that sounds like a possibility. They can, instead of like going into your door to door and kicking you guys doors in and putting you in jail and stuff along those lines, they can just put you in a draft and send you overseas with the military who don't want to take the guns from the American people. They just send them all outside of the country and keep all the other people here to defend for themselves, to protect themselves, or try to protect themselves without our military and stuff like that to help us on the homeland. So we have to pay attention to stuff along those lines too, because everything is being strategically, all this stuff's been planned decades in advance. This is nothing new. This is how wars and things are done. And if you don't think China is being aggressive, you just got to think about all the moves they're making over there where they live at. Obviously, they're going to take down Hong Kong because they don't want to have trouble in the mainland with the city that size when the war does break out. You see them trying to take over Taiwan. You see them trying to take over the South China Sea. You see them starting conflict with Australia. You see them causing conflict with India at their borders and stuff along those lines. We already know that they're in Venezuela. We already hear rumors about them in Mexico, and they could possibly be in Cuba. So everything they're doing is done by design, and it sounds like they're trying to get a strategic standpoint on the United States for a full invasion. So everybody just stay vigilant, keep your minds focused on what's going on in the world. Make sure you got all the tools and things you're going to need to survive a storm. Now, we all know it's going to be pretty impossible for China to do an invasion of the homeland while the United States is in the current stage of what it is right now. We haven't fully collapsed, so you already know they can't invade us. We're way too strong. There's way too many guns. Technically, we probably won't even need our military to whip their behinds if they came to the homeland, because there's so many guns at every house out here. So what they're trying to do is destabilize the United States. They're trying to make the people fight each other. You can see they're trying to start fights with the cops and the people. They're trying to start fights with the blacks and the whites. We see these black militias trying to cause conflict with the white militias, when the militias, all they stand for is freedom, God, and America, you know. So they're paying these black militia groups to do what they're doing right now in the streets, and obviously they're threatening people with their ARs in their face and their cars, and nobody's being arrested. Clearly they're being funded by
the politicians.
So this is not a black organization. This is not a black movement. This is a terrorist organization, in my opinion. And if you guys don't like what I'm saying, well, that's too damn bad, because that is not how, in my eyes, I see black people standing for what's right, by being threatening to honest Americans, people who are just regular everyday Americans. If you have a conflict with somebody, you take it to the people you have conflict with. I see that as a coward move for you to prey on people who don't have the fight in them. So you're a coward in my eyes. That being that, we have to stay away from us fighting each other. We can't buy into that bull crap, because the minute we start fighting with each other, this nation will fall and we will be taken over. We can't be doing that crap. So let's stay focused when it comes to stuff like that, because all this stuff is being done by design. These politicians, these Democrats, they don't give a damn about America. Clearly, they're trying to sell us out for this new world order. I had a friend of mine send me this before we go. I'm gonna go ahead and close it with this. It says, happening now. Unidentified masked federal officers have posted up outside Portland, Oregon federal courthouse, but have also arrested people off the street with no probable cause. So they're just taking people off the streets with no probable cause. You'll be standing there and they're just taking you off the street, I guess just for being outside and being there. But have also arrested people off the street with no probable cause and whisked away whisked them away in unmarked cars. Local officials are asking the federal government to explain why the officers are there. Now, a lot of these politicians in Oregon say that they don't want these federal agents there, but they're there anyways, and they're just coming up and just taking people off the streets in unmarked cars. Now, what does that sound like? That sounds like a beta test for something. And obviously this is up in Oregon, because I can assure you down in the South, you're not just going to be taking people in unmarked cars, because that sounds sketchy in my opinion anyways. And now on top of that, you guys need to all right, see, first of all, I'm just gonna get this out of the way. Americans, you guys need to sit up here and realize that this is America. The American people run the nation, not the government. The government is trying to take over the nation. So this stuff right here is all beta tests. If you let them do this, then obviously they're going to keep doing this. This is how it all begins. Just because somebody has on a uniform does not make them in the right. All right, you guys got to get that out of your head. If the Chinese troops came over, or the UN troops came over and they had uniforms over here, that doesn't mean that they're in the right. All right, you know what I'm saying? Don't be mistaken, because you be watching these movies day in and day out with the federal government and all this crap running everything. That's not how it works. That's not how it operates. That's not how it operates. There's a constitution for a reason. There's a bill of rights for the reason. If they're out of line and they're doing things that are unjust, you guys need to stand your ground and stand up for your communities, or they're gonna abuse their authority and they're gonna run all over you. And we all know how that ends up. We've seen that stuff time and time again in this nation. We've seen it in other nations. So it's not time to be a coward and stand down when stuff like this happens. They're picking up a camera and filming stuff is just not going to do it anymore. You got to stand your ground. Now, I'm not trying to like induce violence, but that right there is very sketchy, and that sounds like kidnapping in my opinion, because we don't know where they're going. Now, we know they tried to pass bills like this a couple of months ago where they can just take people indefinitely and then detain them until the crisis is over. And obviously the courts can't touch the case until after a year of the crisis has already ended. And it sounds like that's what they're trying to do right here with a beta test against your Bill of Rights and your laws and stuff that we have on the book to protect us from stuff like this. So stay focused on what's going on in the world, because everything is starting to go down right now. What you see in that movie Mother, what was going in that movie Mother can definitely be our future, with the riots and the kidnappings and the bondage and all that stuff, the rapes and murders. All that stuff will skyrocket the minute we lose our way of life, and the justice system and everything falls apart. So stay focused in this world, y'all. Y'all be focused. Everything is starting to go down right now. I just like to thank you guys for watching, and God bless.
Attention, citizens! Due to the financial irresponsibility and incompetence of your leaders, Cobra has found it necessary to restructure your nation's economy. We have begun by eliminating the worthless green paper, which your government has deceived you into believing is valuable. Cobra will come to your rescue, and out of the ashes will arise a new order!
We want money! We want money!
Cobra has us exactly where they want us, helpless. In less than a week, buying and selling have been replaced by rioting and looting.
And you can't reestablish order until you print new currency.
And you can't print new currency because Cobra will just destroy it.
Yeah, in short, Cobra's got us basting over a fire.
And time is on their side. With every passing day, the economy sinks deeper into chaos.
So Cobra Commander just has to sit back and wait for the country to fall into his hands.
Then we have one thing going for us. He doesn't know how to wait.
Hey, boss! That hissing fool's on the TV again!
I am pleased to announce Cobra's Economic Recovery Plan. If you want money to buy food for your children, take all your valuables to the nearest branch of Extensive Enterprises. There, all goods will be exchanged for Cobra currency.
That's it. We've got our lead. Let's pay a visit to Extensive Enterprises.
You don't need a pandemic for people to take the vaccine. You just need the fear of a pandemic.
If there's a real pandemic, does it require, faulty virus models, rigged test results, 81% false positives, inaccurate news reporting, staged hospital overruns, manipulated death certificates? Nope. When the government shuts down millions of small businesses but doesn't lay off any government employees, it's not about the health. When the state bans dentists from practicing but deems it necessary for abortion clinics to stay open, it's not about your health. when the state prevents you from buying seeds for your garden but allows you to purchase lottery tickets. It's not about your health. An institution that has the ability to destroy all of Earth through alleged nuclear warfare should not regulate personal self-defense. An institution that's caught trafficking drugs shouldn't be able to regulate plants. An institution that's racked up $23 trillion prior to coronavirus in debt shouldn't be allowed to manage the retirement fund. An institution that was caught spreading STDs should not be allowed to run healthcare. If people are really concerned about public health and safety, in general, but they don't care if people eat garbage, drink poison, smoke cancer, and take prescription drugs, but think that toilet paper, hand sanitizer, and masks are going to protect them from the boogeyman coronavirus. This is a special kind of stupid that I can't address here. You should ask yourself a couple basic questions. When did you consent from you creating a government to serve you to you serving the government ruling over you? If you want to know who's in charge, just think about who you can and can't criticize.